All right. We've now been joined by Chase Elliott. We'll take questions for Chase. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the time that we have before Chase has to go out for practice. So who would like to kick us off? We'll start here.
Chase, Sept, KickingTires.net. With North Wilkesboro coming back next year for the All-Star race, you're the only active driver with a win there. Granted, it was about 10 years ago in a late model. What memories do you have from that track?
Yeah, I mean, I remember going up there. I remember a lot about it. You know, I remember just going and remembering how and thinking how cool it was, you know, at the time, and being able to do the victory lane thing on the lift and all that stuff. It was, it was a trip down a memory lane that I didn't remember, but, you know, I wasn't around for, right? Like, I don't remember any racing there, watching. So, you know, for me, it was just this place that was, you know, kind of larger than life in a way. You know, you just hear all these great things and how historic the racetrack is, and watch videos of all these cool traditions and whatnot up there. So yeah, it was a great time. Fortunately, we were able to get the win and you know, enjoy some of those traditions firsthand. But like you say, it's been quite a while. You know, I think that was in like 2010 or 2011. So been a few days for sure. So remember a lot about it. I'm sure it's probably changed some, and some things probably haven't. But yeah, looking forward to going back.
Is any experience at the track, granted it was a late model, better than no experience?
I mean, winning anywhere is always a good thing. So, and at the time, it was a really big deal because, you know, they brought the track back, and there was a lot of hype around the event. You know, not as much hype as there is right now, but there was a lot of hype around the event for that time period and what was going on. So it was, you know, just fun to get the win and kind of be a part of some of those moments and bringing a racetrack back to life. And that, you know, in 2010 or 11, whatever year it was, it had been dormant for a while then too. So kind of similar, but just not quite as much hype around it. But it was still a big deal to me.
All right, we'll go to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports, following up another schedule question. So NASCAR put out the schedule on Wednesday, and you retweeted their schedule tweet and said less is more, and you like night races. So expand on both of those. Less is more. Do you think fewer races or more compact schedule?
Yeah, I think a more compact schedule, in my opinion. But you know, look, I don't make the rules, and nobody asks my opinion that does. So, and that's completely fine. I'm not asking for that job. I don't want that job. But I'm a firm believer that less is more in the sense of the timing of a schedule and when we could end our season to make the most for TV ratings and things of that nature. I think we could do better personally. And then as far as the night races go, there's a lot of Sunday afternoons we spend in some really hot environments, which is fine. I'm good with that. But if I was a fan sitting in the bleachers, I wouldn't be for, you know, 3.5 hours in August. I'd much rather do it at night, you know, and you know, enjoy a night race, number one, which I think is really cool, and the environment's really neat. This is the best race of the year, you know, here under the lights, and I also understand that it's cool because we don't do it much. But I just think you see a lot of short tracks and places that run on Saturday night shows, and I think during the summer months, it's something that we should consider doing more of, in my opinion. But again, I don't get asked, I don't want to get asked, and I don't want that role. So just my humble opinion, and that's really about it.
Okay. Is there an ideal number of night races that you think, or maybe a track that should have one?
I hadn't put that much thought into it, but just in general, I like them, and I like the idea of them when it's hot for the spectators to have a more enjoyable environment to watch in.
And just one last one. So 36 races, but when would be the time that you'd want to end? Would you want to end like in September or August, earlier than?
Yeah, I mean 36, 45, 50. I mean, I don't think it matters how many races we have, but I don't see any reason in competing against NFL football when that starts. My opinion, that's not a battle we're ever going to win. So, you know, I think we should be smart about that.
All right, Jeff.
Obviously, this is a much different track than Martinsville, but is there any apprehension of how this track will race with this car compared to how it has in the past? Are you a little bit wary of how this race will go?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, Jeff. I really don't, and I would say most people don't. I mean, I think there's been a handful of guys who have tested and maybe done tire tests here and things. I haven't been on the track, in this configuration this year in this car, so I think there's some challenges ahead today here in just a few minutes that is going to make for a battle tomorrow night, and not even against your competitors. I think it's going to be a pretty big battle against yourself, and just having your car balance close and being able to match the two ends, and the shifting thing. There's a lot of RPM difference between running the bottom lane versus running the top. So how do they have the drop gear set up? How is that going to impact fourth and fifth gear? The chip can only be set at one location. So just a lot of super interesting things that are normal for Bristol, but I think are going to be unique to this car. And the bump off of turn 2 comes to mind. A very unique bump, and one that I'm not sure we've really had this year. This place has a lot of vertical load. And that bump over there is pretty aggressive, but a lot of times you don't see that until later in the event when it gets cool, when you start really running the top hard. So just a lot of challenges I think that I could see on the horizon of just wanting to make sure you have your ducks in the row personally before you even start racing other people.
All right, we're gonna go Michael, Claire, Hunter, and then Jordan. Go ahead, Michael.
Michael Massey, front stretch. Chase, with the way the schedule fell, no Cup guys would be able to do the Hendrick 24-hour Le Mans entry. Was there any thought or even interest, from your end on, thinking about doing that?
I mean, personally, while we're being honest, no, I don't have any interest in it, and the reason being is because there's no competition in the class. Like, I want to go and compete, and that's the part that I enjoy is seeing where you stack up against other competitors and where I need to be better, and kind of challenging myself and pushing myself. When there's no other cars in the class, that would take a large piece of the fun out of it for me. So, granted, we can't do it anyway, but I don't really have a ton of interest in the way that is right now. Maybe if it changes down the road, sure, but not this one.
All right, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. So you're up 28 from the cutoff line, and you come into Bristol where you have 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s. Where do you think you're at understanding Bristol? Where would you kind of rank how you feel you kind of get this racetrack, even as we come in unpredictable this year?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I would have to imagine not much has changed unless for some reason some type of damage or bumps were done to the track and bulldozers getting the dirt on and off the racetrack, which I kind of doubt that much has changed, but that would be the only thing unique to anything we've seen here in the past. And then obviously the way that they apply the grippy stuff there on the bottom, it looks wider to me this year than it has been in years past. I don't know that, but just watching the truck race last night, it seemed like the last couple trips it was a more narrow line around the bottom. Maybe somebody in here can tell me yes or no, but it looked like a pretty narrow line in the past, where really only your left side tires could be in it. You might get a little bit of your rights in it, but it was mainly your lefts kind of pulling you around, and now they have it sprayed so wide your right side tires are in it. So, that's going to extend the life of that stuff, because you have two different tire tracks to work in it rather than one. So that's going to, impact the lanes quite a bit. I don't know if it'll double it just because it's double the width, but certainly going to make a big difference.
You've always tried to come into racetracks, as I've observed, saying that you don't have a preconceived notion. You never say you like one or don't like one. You're like, got to race it, got to have that attitude.
Yeah.
What do you like about Bristol, and what still you scratch your head about as a race car driver?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bristol is the one that kind of has that asterisk next to it for me, just because the environment here is so cool. I mean, this fall race, at night, 500 laps. I mean, this was one of the events that when I was a kid, it was larger than life. I remember just coming. I mean, you couldn't get a ticket to this thing for 5 years. I mean, it was just one of those events that everyone wanted to be at, and if you weren't there or if you weren't talking about it, there in the early 2000s, you weren't living. Is how I thought it was, and I really think that was reality. So, when I look back at this event and what I remember of it, this was one of the races that made me want to be a race car driver, honestly. And the environment here is unmatched, and this event is special. And I don't see another date or track on our schedule that can rival what this environment is on Saturday night, in August or September.
All right, Hunter and then Jordan. Hunter here in the middle.
Hey, Chase, Hunter Thomas with fourthturn.com. You're well above the cut line, but it's not impossible to fall out. What are your thoughts heading into tomorrow's race? Are you a little apprehensive, or, your team has experience too? And then also, what would it mean to win here on Saturday?
Well, I think given what I just said, it would mean a lot. I think, you look at this race and just how spectacular the spectacle that it is. That adds an element of the event that I think makes it really cool. So yeah, it would certainly mean a lot. This is a race that I certainly want to have checked off whenever I get done or get told I'm done. And I think that this is a special place. So as far as the cut line goes, nobody's safe. The only guy safe, I guess, is whoever's locked themselves through. Somebody said the 20 locked himself in last week. So, I say outside of him, nobody is. And some very capable guys that have had bad weeks, over the last couple of weeks that could win here this weekend. And then that changes everything, as we all know. So, back to Jeff's question, I feel like racing yourself and making sure you have your own ducks in a row before you start racing other people is going to be vital to a successful 500 laps here tomorrow night.
All right, we're going to take our final question from Jordan. Go ahead.
Hey, Chase. Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Are you in favor of them putting PJ1 down here?
Yeah, I think it's been really nice in the past. The width of it here this weekend might be a telltale on maybe what too much might be or not enough, or if it even matters. But I do think it's been a good thing because it's given an option. Here in the past, I feel like the top had become super dominant, and it seems like when it has worked out, and it seems to me it has worked out more times than not over the last 2 or 3 years when we've come here. Between the course of the 3 events throughout the weekend, I feel like about 100, 200 laps into the Cup race, we start having these 2 lanes magically, and it has worked out really nice. I don't know if that was scienced out or if that was just dumb luck or whatever, but it's created a really nice event, and it's also created a dynamic in the event that something changes. A lane deteriorates, and you have to search and get somewhere else and find something new, and then once you run off the top, there might be a little grip left on the bottom. You can go back down there and find it. So I like that dynamic, and I think it's a good thing for this particular racetrack. I'm not sure it's good for all of them, but I think for here it's been a really good fit. Just a matter of how much and whether or not we're going to wear this out, this weekend. And we'll see. It may not matter.
Do drivers give any feedback, or are you guys consulted on how much to put down or anything, or is that strictly a track decision?
I haven't. I don't go there.
All right, Chase.
Yep.
Thanks so much for your
Cool.
time. We wish you the best of
Thanks.
luck tomorrow.
Thank you.